Welcome to this explainer. Let's just dive right in, because there is a microscopic, sci-fi level battle raging inside your body right this very second. Today, we're figuring out exactly what is driving your biological aging process from the inside out. But more importantly, we're going to look at how understanding this cellular turf war gives you the actual power to extend your health span. You know, those prime years of your life where you're energetic, disease-free, and just full of vitality. To kick things off, let me ask you a super practical question. Have you ever woken up in the morning, stretched, and realized your ring feels, well, uncomfortably tight on your finger? It seems like a totally minor annoyance, right? Maybe you blame it on a salty dinner the night before. But, according to longevity and biohacking expert Dr. Sajeev, this little morning symptom is actually a glaring physical warning sign of a massive, invisible threat happening within your body.
See, if your finger is swollen and tight, it's almost never just localized swelling. It's actually a huge indicator of systemic, chronic inflammation. As Dr. Sajeev points out, if your finger is inflamed, there's a very good chance your heart is inflamed, and your lungs are inflamed too. It's this silent, smoldering fire spreading through your vital organs. It's not just making your ring tight, it is literally accelerating your biological clock.
Section 1. The zombie cell invasion. Let's look at the threat inside.
So, what exactly are we dealing with here? We're talking about a biological process called cellular senescence. Normally, when your cells go through severe stress, like say DNA damage or their telomeres shortening over time, they're supposed to either repair themselves or gracefully undergo programmed cell death to make room for fresh, healthy cells. But sometimes, they misbehave. They permanently stop dividing, yet they stubbornly refuse to die. They enter this twisted state where they lose all normal function and just linger in your tissues like microscopic zombies.
Now here's the really crazy paradox about how these cells function over our lifetime. When we're young, cellular senescence is actually a brilliant, highly beneficial defense mechanism. It's a biological shield. It acts as an anti-cancer brake, literally stopping damaged, potentially dangerous cells from multiplying. But here's the catch. As we get older, that shield starts to break down. Our immune system's ability to efficiently clear out these zombie cells drops off, so they just start piling up on our tissues, morphing from a helpful defense into a severe, pro-aging hazard.
The research from the journal Cell perfectly illustrates this dual nature. In a young body, sporadic damage triggers cellular senescence, which brilliantly blocks the spread of those damaged cells. It protects your tissue. But in an older body, increased damage combined with a deficient immune cleanup crew leads to a massive buildup of these senescent cells. And that directly drives tissue dysfunction, widespread inflammation, and stem cell exhaustion. The exact same mechanism that protected you early on is now the very thing driving your aging process. Wild, right?
Section 2. The threat of inflammaging. Let's dig into chronic inflammation.
So what is inflammaging? Well, it's the chronic, low-grade, systemic inflammation that slowly develops as we get older. Remember that tight ring on your finger? Yeah, this is the invisible fire causing it. Now, unlike acute inflammation, which is actually great, it helps heal a cut on your arm by making it red and warm, inflammaging is a silent killer. No fever, no immediate pain. Instead, it continuously damages you from the inside out, 24/7, heavily driven by something called the senescence-associated secretory phenotype, or SASP for short.
Let's break down exactly why these zombie cells are so unbelievably toxic. They don't just sit there doing nothing. They actively secrete a highly pro-inflammatory cocktail, that SASP we just mentioned. They are constantly pumping inflammatory cytokines, like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, straight into your bloodstream. This toxic soup continuously degrades your surrounding healthy tissues. It damages blood vessels, degrades neurons, eats away at your joints, and severely accelerates the onset of chronic diseases. And it does all of this for years before a doctor can even diagnose a problem.
And this ties elegantly into the broader, complex biological picture of why we age. If you look at the interconnected web of the 9 hallmarks of aging, cellular senescence sits right in the middle tier as an antagonistic hallmark. Basically, it's a response to damage that eventually becomes toxic. And right below it, you'll find altered intercellular communication, which includes the inflammaging we're talking about right now. These hallmarks aren't operating in silos. They integrate and ultimately dictate the overarching functional decline of your entire body.
Section 3. Measuring your invisible fire. Let's look at the biomarkers of aging.
Less than 1.0 milligrams per liter. That is the magic number. It's your optimal clinical target level for a biomarker called high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, or HSCRP.
It's a liver-derived marker that specifically measures low-grade chronic inflammation. If your blood work shows your hsCRP is below 1.0, that is fantastic. It means you have healthy systemic homeostasis. The fire is contained.
But if your hsCRP creeps up above 3.0, your risk for major age-related conditions, we're talking cardiovascular disease, dementia, cancer, it spikes significantly. This is exactly why biohackers and longevity docs are so obsessed with this data. And science is pushing even further, tracking emerging markers like SUPAR, which correlates specifically with overall biological aging and tissue damage from inflammaging. Getting regular blood tests is literally the only way to take this invisible fire and make it visible, measurable, and ultimately fixable.
Section 4. Clearing the zombie cells. Time to look at emerging therapeutics.
Okay, here is the incredibly exciting news. Scientists are actively building two main therapeutic arsenals to fight back. First, we have senolytics. These are compounds designed to actively hunt down and selectively kill the senescent zombie cells entirely, flushing them out so new cells can step up. Researchers are heavily looking into compounds like quercetin, visitin, and nab-toclax for this. Second, we have senolomorphics. These don't kill the cells, but they modulate and suppress those toxic inflammatory secretions we talked about earlier. Agents like metformin, rapamycin, and apigenin fall right into this exciting category.
And the rigorous scientific testing backing this up is just phenomenal. The National Institute on Aging runs this gold standard initiative called the Interventions Testing Program. Through massive, multi-site studies on genetically diverse mice, they've successfully identified 15 different agents, including things like acarbose, canagliflozin, and rapamycin, that significantly increase median lifespan. They're proving definitively that targeting these underlying aging pathways can absolutely extend life.
But here is the absolute best part. You do not need to wait for pharmaceutical trials to wrap up to start clearing out your cellular damage. There are powerful lifestyle interventions you can pull the trigger on today. Caloric restriction literally suppresses pro-inflammatory genes like NF-κB at the cellular level. Implementing 12 to 16-hour fasting windows promotes deep cellular repair and sweeps out biological junk. Resistance training builds muscle, which acts as this crucial glucose sink, helping manage the metabolic stress that triggers senescence in the first place. And getting 7 to 8 hours of high-quality sleep, that gives your body the time to perform its most critical maintenance. You literally have the tools to hack your biology right now.
Which brings us to our final and maybe most important thought for this explainer. You know your chronological age, sure, that's just what the calendar says. But based on the accumulation of your cellular zombies and the level of inflammaging quietly burning in your tissues, what is your true biological age? By tracking your inflammation markers and making targeted daily lifestyle changes, you can actively put out that invisible fire. So the only question left for you is how long do you want your health span to be?